So what happens when a crypto project decides to completely reinvent itself, and in the process puts its entire community through a trial by fire? We're not talking about a simple name change here. Oh no. We're talking about a full-blown identity crisis, a super risky token swap, and a community that was literally torn between dreams of getting rich and the absolute fear of losing everything. This is the wild, chaotic story of how a project called Trias became NetX. On one side of this whole mess, you had this feeling. It was electric, just pure, uncut optimism. Some people looked at all this chaos, and they didn't see risk. They saw a rocket ship getting ready for takeoff. For them, this quote wasn't just some silly meme. It was basically a prophecy, a sign of life-changing wealth just around the corner. But, for every true believer, there was someone on the other side, someone who'd been holding on for a year, maybe more, just watching what they felt was a project completely spinning its wheels. So how can one single event be seen as both a golden opportunity and a total train wreck? Well, that's the mystery at the very heart of this story. Look, this was way more than just a rebrand. It was a seismic shift, a fundamental change in the tech and the vision that pushed a really dedicated community right to its breaking point. So let's actually dig in and break down what happened and, more importantly, why. Before we dive into all the technical stuff, the code, the contracts, we have to start with the people. We have to. Because the heart and soul of any crypto project is its community. And for the NetX community, this whole transition was one heck of an emotional and financial roller coaster. This slide right here, it's the perfect snapshot of a community basically at war with itself. You've got pure, unadulterated hope sitting right next to people having literal nightmares about financial ruin. But the line that really gets me is many people were stuck. Can you even imagine that? Your assets, your money, just frozen for months. You can't trade, you can't move, all while the project's future is a giant question mark. And yet somehow, even after all of that frustration, you can still see that little spark of optimism trying to fight its way back. Okay, so what was the technical earthquake that was causing all these emotional aftershocks? Well, it all came down to one thing, the token migration. This was the process of swapping the old Trias token for the new NetX token. And as a lot of people found out the hard way, it was anything but simple. And right off the bat, the community was split in two. You had two totally different experiences. If your tokens were sitting on a big centralized exchange like Gate.io, life was pretty easy. The swap just happened for you automatically. But if you were self-custodying, holding your own tokens in a personal wallet like MetaMask, well, you were suddenly on your own. You had to go navigate this manual portal, and that's where the real trouble began. It didn't take long for the project's official channels to just get flooded with messages exactly like this one. You had people who did everything right. They had the right tokens, they were in the right wallet, but the migration portal was just broken for them. It wasn't working. This created this perfect storm of fear and confusion. And of course, it was also the perfect hunting ground for scammers who were just waiting to exploit all that chaos. So, as if all those technical glitches weren't enough, a bigger, deeper fear started to spread, and this one struck right at the very core of the project's value, the tokenomics. Specifically, a massive potential increase in the total supply of tokens. Okay, here's the number that absolutely terrified investors. The old TRIAS token had a hard cap, a max supply of 10 million. That was it. It was a known quantity. The new NetX token, though, it could have a max supply of up to 50 million. All an investor sees is a 5x increase, and that just screams massive inflation that could crush the value of their holdings. This one number sparked a wave of panic. But see, the max supply wasn't the whole story, not even close. The number that ultimately calmed everyone down was the initial circulating supply. That's the amount of tokens that would actually be available to trade on day one. And that number was much closer to 12 to 15 million. So yeah, a little bump from the original, but not a disaster. The rest of those tokens, they were earmarked for things like long-term growth and partnerships, locked away and not going to hit the open market for years, if ever. And this quote from a project admin really just hits the nail on the head. It's a key lesson here. In the crypto world, a token's price, at least in the short term, is all about what's actively being bought and sold right now, the circulating supply. It's not about some theoretical maximum number way off in the distant future. Understanding that one simple difference was the key to seeing past all the fear. So with the firestorm from the migration finally starting to die down, the big question was still just hanging there. Why? Why go through all this chaos in the first place? Well, the answer lies in the project's new and vastly expanded ambition. this wasn't just a token swap. It was a total strategic relaunch. The new mission for NetX is, simply put, to build a bridge between the traditional financial world that we all use every day, you can call it Web 2, and the new emerging world of blockchain or Web 3. Their goal is to let real-world financial services run with the kind of transparency and security you can only get with decentralized tech. And let me tell you, that is one of the biggest challenges in this entire space. Now, the engine that's supposed to drive this new vision is a concept called real-world assets, or RWAs. Think of it like this. You take a traditional asset, like a government bond, or even a piece of a building, and you create a digital token that represents it on the blockchain. This is easily one of the most talked about trends in crypto right now, and a lot of people think it's the key to unlocking literally trillions of dollars in value. And to make all this happen, NetX is building an entire ecosystem from the ground up. This isn't just one little app, it's a full technology stack. It all starts with a layer -1 foundation, which means it's its own fundamental blockchain, even more foundational than something like Ethereum. And then they're building on top of that with AI-powered security, data analytics, and, this is crucial, the tech needed for regulated finance, like licensed stablecoins in Japan.
But hey, this isn't just theory and white papers. Just look at their partnership with a company called NetStars in Japan. It allows their privacy tech, called Tusima, to plug directly into PayPay, a payment service used by over 70 million people. We are talking about actual, real-world retail payments being settled using their technology. This is the kind of tangible, real-world adoption that closes the gap between a promising idea and a real business.
So the project survived the migration, and they've laid out this grand new vision. But the final piece of this whole transformation, it's maybe the most important one. It's a fundamental change in how the project is governed, and ultimately, who holds the power. NetX has officially become a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. Now, in theory, this is a radical shift. The core team is supposed to take a step back, and the community, the people who actually hold the tokens, gets to vote on everything. We're talking the budget, future partnerships, the works. It's the ultimate promise of true decentralization. But with new power came new demands, and they came fast. As this message shows, the community didn't waste any time. They immediately started pushing for way more transparency and a direct say in how the project's massive treasury was going to be managed. They don't see themselves as just investors anymore, they see themselves as stakeholders, and they are demanding a seat at the table. That beautiful, democratic ideal, however, pretty quickly ran into the harsh reality spelled out by this project admin. In most DAOs, it isn't one person, one vote, it's one token, one vote. And this is the central tension of decentralization, isn't it? While everyone gets a voice, the biggest holders, who are often the founding team and the early backers, well, they have the loudest voices. It's this constant tug of war between community ideals and the simple, practical realities of power. Which, of course, brings us to the final question. NetX made it through the technical chaos. They've laid out a truly ambitious vision for the future. But now, its fate rests on this fragile new balance of power. Can a community fresh out of a crisis really come together to steer a multi-million-dollar ship? Or is the beautiful dream of decentralization destined to just clash with good old-fashioned human nature? For NetX, and for a lot of projects just like it, I guess only time will tell.